Honored to have with us, as I mentioned earlier, Jeff Ryan, 3 decades, 2,100 miles in the making, the Appalachian Odyssey, a 28-year hike on America's Trail, is a travelogue rich in history, visual beauty, storytelling that appeals to the adventure inside of each of us. When two friends went on a hike one day in Maine, they had no idea they were actually going to start this incredible journey. The Appalachian Odyssey is the name of the new book, which we have right here. Jeff, how are you?
Good. Very nice to have you to be on board here.
Jeff Ryan, author, and this new book, you must be very excited. It is not quite available, but you can pre-order it, right?
You can pre-order it on Amazon. Just type in Appalachian Odyssey, and it should pop right up on the top of the list.
Yeah. And you have had just a blast with this. 28 years, that's a long time.
Yeah, it is. We had a lot of fun doing it, and as we mentioned in the pre there, when we started this adventure, we really didn't know we were doing the AT at all. A friend of mine met a college friend, and we went up and hiked on Katahdin. We did the AT. Coincidentally, we went up by the AT, and we got together over the winter and decided to go for this new trail in Vermont. The Long Trail, new to us. It's been there it was actually longer than the AT in age. It's a 257-mile trail through Vermont. So we were doing that, and part of that trail coincides with the AT, and we realized a couple of years into it, my God, we're on the AT. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going.
Yeah.
And what a fantastic that you had the opportunity and the time to do that. What is
Made the time.
Made the time, right. Yeah, I guess that's the way you have to do it. So what is the route of the AT?
Well, the AT, as many people probably know, some may not, it goes from Mount Katahdin in Maine to Springer Mountain, Georgia. It's 2,100 miles or so long. It changes a little bit year to year based on relocations, but it's pretty much set. And it goes through 14 states along the way. The shortest state is West Virginia, 4 miles. And the longest one is Virginia. It's 524 miles across. It's 1/4 of the trail, actually.
Wow. And tell us, the person that you did this with, obviously didn't do it alone, and tell us a little bit about the partner that went with you.
Yeah, Wayne Sear is his name. He is very much the polar opposite of myself in personality, so it was very interesting how our friendship developed over the 28 years. He is trends toward introversion, and I very obviously extroversion. And he is a systems programmer, and I'm a writer, and so we had these various kind of differences, but the one thing that really we shared was a love of the outdoors and hiking, and over the years the friendship very much evolved, and we really came to enjoy each other's different perspectives, and I like to describe it as a Venn diagram that kind of overlapped more and more as the years went by. So the friendship developed, and it's really great to have that continuity on a trip like this through half a lifetime.
Well, yeah, and you spent a lot of time together. You certainly did get a chance to know each other.
Yep.
Tell us about some of the highlights. I mean, it sounds like everything was awesome, but...
It was awesome. I think there were a lot of really interesting things. I think hiking through the Smokies was one of the highlights for us, which actually came toward the end. All of it was really interesting. There's so many different aspects of doing the trail this way. The choosing the gear for the time of year, the packing for the length of the trip, and the seasonality of it. One of the highlights for us is that we often went out in the fall, and the landscape was just beautiful regardless of how far south you got. You know, the changing of the trees is always a great time to be outside.
Oh, sure.
And we found out that that was really our favorite time to be out. And actually some of the trips we did as late as December, so we hit snow down in the Smokies and that kind of thing. So, but it was fun to be out there, no bugs and very few tourists, and you pretty much have a place to yourself. So.
Wow. Amazing pictures, and although you're not a photographer, you certainly are, according to these pictures.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, fantastic pictures. And we're going to talk more about this great book. Appalachian Odyssey is the name of the book, and the author is Jeff Ryan. He is with us this morning. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come talk more about Appalachian Odyssey. Pre-order it now on Amazon. We'll be right back. We are here with author Jeff Ryan, and the name of the book is Appalachian Odyssey, and it is now available for pre-order on Amazon.com. And Jeff was just sharing with me that you're going to be going on a book tour soon, and that this book is going to be available, your first book signing at the Smithsonian. Tell us about that. That's pretty.
Yeah, the Smiths are very excited to be able to say that the Smithsonian's carrying my book in the Museum of American History and the Natural History Museum down there, and I'm going to be doing signings to sort of kick off my book tour in my trusty 1985 Volkswagen Westphalia camper. So I'll be hitting the road,
You're living large.
living the dream.
Yeah, living the dream. Now, what is the theme of this book? What was there a model that you had, or a rough model in your head?
Yeah, interesting you asked that. I basically modeled it off the Canterbury Tales. I wanted to, the way we did the trail wasn't linearly, so we didn't just pick up where we left off. We took turns choosing different places to go, so we sort of jumped around. And what I found out when I was writing it was each trip had its own theme, so I sort of thought of the Canterbury Tales, Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, when I was writing. I wanted to make sure that I was highlighting some of the real themes that emerged with each individual trip. That's one of the great things about doing it in sections, is that each trip had its own flavor, and it wasn't just not to diminish a through hike, because I've certainly done one of those, and that has its own rewards, but the section hiking individual years was very interesting to me. And we aged, and the technology changed, and the menu changed, and our pace changed, and all of that kind of got folded in.
So the book may inspire you to do this, a similar trip, but as you mentioned, you don't have to do it all at once.
You really don't, and that's the real big theme I think I found in the book is, I think in our culture we tend to really push for a big, hairy, audacious goal and think that, sort of set ourselves up for a black or white decision. We're either all in or not, or we either need to quit our job and jump off the cliff or not. And really what I found in this book is that you can make a big, hairy goal and step toward it and build a bridge toward it, and one day you wake up and, my gosh, you're there.
Yeah.
And that's really pretty much how this trip played out.
Great, great pictures in there and great stories. Tell us a little bit about the trail at Mount Katahdin. How do you feel about hiking that trail?
I love it. I was in fact up there last spring to get a couple more last pictures for the book again, but it's so inspiring to be up there. And what's interesting is, as most people know, the last 100 miles between Monson and Katahdin are called the 100-mile wilderness. There aren't really any places to restock in there. And I'd already done the 100-mile wilderness 4 times, and Wayne was behind me. He had 185 miles less covered on the trail, and a lot of it was in Maine, including the 100-mile wilderness. So he asked me if I'd like to do it again, and I said, sure, why not? So this time we went in October and left the foot of Katahdin and hiked south, and it was the only time I've ever done it without looking at Katahdin the whole way. It was sort of Katahdin in the rear view mirror this time, and it was very fun to do it that way.
And now you just didn't do this, as you mentioned, this is all season. So we have a photo on 27 to 35 on the roll that you brought us as a photo with snow on Mount Katahdin. How do you deal with the hiking in the cold weather?
Well, it's fun. I mean, it's challenging. There are some times we're usually prepared for it. We have crampons if we need them, but a lot of times we were in that part of the season where the snow would melt off fairly quickly. You just slow down for a day or two and wait for it to get better. There was one trip that was really amazing from a just being out there perspective. We were in peak foliage here in the valley, and we were hiking south from, we got the last ferry ride. Ferry is actually a canoe across the Kennebec, and the guy dropped us on the other side, and we walked through beautiful foliage for a couple days, and then we got to Bigelow and it snowed, and we had this beautiful sort of juxtaposition between the snow-covered peak and the Carrabassett Valley, and it was just amazing. It just felt awesome to be out there in those conditions. It was felt like a once in a lifetime, and
indeed,
happy to be there kind of moments.
Right, right. Ah, that's so exciting. And you're going on your book tour, so you're going to hop into your Volkswagen and head on down to the Smithsonian. We really think you should have one of these.
I think I should have one
I
too.
think you
I'd
should
be
have one of those
very
on
happy
there.
to put this on the back.
Well,
Excellent.
thank you so much, Jeff Ryan. Again,
you,
the
Greg.
name of the book is The Appalachian Odyssey, a 28-year hike on the America's Trail. So pick up a copy of this book on Amazon. It'll be in many other places, but right now you can pre-order it in Amazon. And we appreciate you coming down and sharing your trip with us this morning.
Awesome to be here. Thanks
Thank you so
again.
much.
Bye-bye.
All right.